Carlson. This is Michael Buckley. We're doing a consultation on his soul report. Let me briefly look at your soul report and figure out what you are. It'll help me win this consultation a little bit. Michael, here we go. Okay. You've been here, let's see. Okay, you're still in cycle. And you got 1.14 cycles left. Okay, let's see how you're doing on your. You got a real good karma footprint, 2 and 11. Okay, you got a young soul, but you're almost ready for ascension, I guess. In was it 3,600 years left on that 25,920 year cycle? Okay. Okay, so let's go on with your questions and. I'm glad you called.
I actually don't know what to ask. I guess maybe some little bit of background. My brother recently called in. You guys spoke a bunch. His name is Sean. He's actually the one that directed me to.
Yeah, I had a nice talk with him. I made a video of it, and then we talked for another hour after that. He wanted me to talk about some things that we didn't want to put in the video. But we could have. It didn't matter. It would have been okay. But you never know what you're gonna say or whatever sometimes.
Yep. So with I guess an interesting thing to talk about is like some just karma stuff. So you say the footprint's good. I looked at the numbers; they're good. They're actually he's a wanderer. Mine are better than his. So we had to giggle about that in terms of what the footprint is. Marginally, right? Like
generally, a person that hasn't completed their cycle yet isn't polarized positive, and they have some bad, they have some bad karma, and their soul score's lower and all that. But yours is way up there. You have really good statistics. You're like way ahead of the game. You should be getting real good choices of future lives, or in between lives. When you get to pick your next life, you'll be getting much better choices than everybody else because you're doing so well. I'm pretty sure it works that way.
Yes, one thing I did actually want to ask you about is you mentioned about, what is it, the curses, spells, and implants. And you said I had a rather high number. I was actually curious to learn about some of those things and about just like form and function, what they do, where you get them, how not to, because it's helpful to have, like, let's say, people like you around to be able to provide a service like that. But that's not necessarily always the case, and I don't want to be carrying those things around with me if I don't have to.
Okay, you got 8 spells, 15 curses, and 3 etheric implants. This one subject I don't know a whole lot about.
Okay.
But everybody seems to have these, and you seem to get these real easy. And I'm told I'm allowed to remove them real easy. They don't seem to make a whole lot of difference. I think when somebody gets mad at you and curses you under their breath or something like that, you get a curse or a spell that way. And these etheric implants, you can only get those if you haven't completed your cycle yet. If you're qualified for ascension, if you're a wanderer or a starseed, your soul seems to resist these implants, and they're done by archons, which is a type of demon that was brought here by the reptilians. I think they just follow them in their ships or something like that. And these implants generally stop you from being spiritual as much, but it seems like you fought through it or whatever. You got these, you had these implants, but you're still being spiritual anyway, and still have a Polaroid positive soul score, 53 soul score. Most people in your situation would have about a 45, 46 soul score if they're doing decent. And they would maybe have a 2 and 9 karma footprint instead of 2 and 11. You seem to be doing a whole lot to help other people, which is excellent. Oh yeah, it's really good for your soul.
That's good. It doesn't seem like it, right? Because I don't do, let's say, like adventurous things nearly as much as my brother does, because he makes more money than I do. I work as a network engineer. I work for a telecom company, and I don't know, man. I do what I can because I know. Whenever I have the opportunity to make a difference, as little as it seems, I go ahead and I just don't really think much about it. I just do it, and try not to make a fuss. Try not to hold hate in my heart. Honestly, I've been doing that for a while now. It makes a big difference in how I personally feel as I'm living my life. Not
Just
holding on.
State of mind. Giving feels good, and it's a state of mind. And when you get used to doing it and automatically do it, you feel good and powerful for doing it. And and most people don't get that feeling. You know, they're stingy or tight or greedy or something like that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to take the step to help others constantly when they can.
Yeah, that's one thing that's one thing I actually find it hard to relate to a lot of other people, or at least maybe more accurately to say they have a harder time relating to me because of that. For that reason. Oh yes, you did mention on that I had a very high amount of was it soul committed to body. I think you mentioned it was the highest of anyone you had done a reading on yet. I think it was 66%.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that now.
What?
Yeah,
tell me about that.
Okay, I'll go over that. Normally, in third or fourth density, your soul's big enough for 2 people to run 2 bodies. So what normally is done is you take approximately half your soul and put it in your body, and half your soul stays on the soul plane, where you're learning from higher souls and helping younger souls and all that. And before you incarnate, you can kind of look over the path of the life you're going to incarnate in, and it has several milestones of what you go through and the difficulties you're going to have and the things you're going to accomplish and all that. There's kind of certain things set in stone, so to speak, that you're going to go through, and you look at how hard that life is, and you talk to the your higher guides and get an idea how much of my soul should I put in this body. You want to put if you put too much in, it'll shorten your life, and if you don't put enough in, you'll have a hard time going through the difficult times. And most people end up putting, I'd say, approximately 55% of their soul in the body. Rarely do they put 60% or more.
Okay.
I've heard as high as 80%. But you're the hot. Since I started checking for this, I didn't know about this about a year ago. So
Okay.
I'm constantly learning new things and adding them to my soul reports to improve them. And since I've started doing this feature, you're definitely the highest. I've had a few people in the lower 60s.
Okay.
60%, 61. I think another guy was 63. And I was surprised. Have you had some hard episodes in your life where you struggled through and it was hard to go through at times?
Yeah, you betcha. Mainly, I was talking about like remaining spiritual. I probably started the journey of spiritual awakening when I was around 14 or 15 years old, and that was great because then like I was like, man, there's just so much more to life than we really know about. And then shortly thereafter, oh man, there came the demons, bro. No other way to describe it. Huge amount of negative beings, all kinds of attacks. And it has been that way for the past 18 years now.
That's
But
strange. Why would they
it's
go?
let up. It's
Huh.
let up quite a bit as I've gotten, let's just say, as I've become acclimated to it. I've gotten a lot tougher, so I'm not quite as easy for very dark beings to bully. But there, some real nasty ones like to come after me,
And
and all
that's
kinds
why
of
you put so much soul in your body to prepare for this. So
yeah.
to get through these episodes.
I wasn't surprised when you said
There,
that. Like,
you decided to fight off the implants uh, and to learn spirituality and to become spiritual.
you know,
And I guess the demons didn't like that, so they went after you.
no,
But you
not
had
one bit.
put enough soul, you had put a higher percentage of your soul in the body to be ready for this,
Yeah,
and it's worked out, I guess. You're
the
doing so well.
the majority of encounters will be hostile encounters on the dream plane. Although there is a crisscross between sometimes they'll happen during out of body experiences, sometimes it happens in waking life. The waking life one is more rare, but there's been a handful of times. Most commonly, when something like that happens, I'll be dreaming and they'll invade my dream and attack me there.
You get nightmares, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What kind? Well, can you describe any of these bad dreams or anything? Can you talk about them?
Sure. Bad dream. Bad dream is a bit of an understatement because it's easily identifiable that the hostility is coming from one source, one being, and generally it doesn't. You can tell immediately that it does not belong in the dream, especially once you get once you start to realize that that kind of thing is happening. You'll know that your dream, so called or whatever, is the term I use loosely is just outsiders. Whenever outsiders are present, it's immediately apparent to me. They'll come and attack me, grab me, try to do all kinds of things. I've been imprisoned, held in energy cages, tortured, various types of stuff. Things that I would describe, which would be like possession attempts, where the hostile entities will like however they present themselves, clouds of red mist, ridiculous, oversized, spiky armor dudes, and they'll jump into me, and I'll feel a tearing sensation coming from what feels like inside of me as I'm attempting to fight that kind of sensation off, that hostility off, and those were the most severe ones. That's when I was in college. They've calmed down a lot since then because I've gained a lot more spine, so to speak, and be able to actively resist these things. Spending time gaining spirituality and whatnot, and also like honing my moral code, learning about the different planes and whatnot has all raised my I guess you'd call it abilities. So a lot of times when these things attack me, they don't quite do nearly as well as they used to, just because I'm able to evade them or defend myself against them, deflect them, and off I go back into normal dreamland instead of ones where these hostiles are. Close them out, kick them out, and get on with life, kind of thing.
This is quite a learning experience for me. I haven't encountered this before.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Interesting.
the first wave, I wonder if it comes down to a perception thing, mainly because the very first waves of very hostile things, in which things you just know and you just describe them as demonic. Lately, the things that have been harassing me, when they have been, are undeniably androids. We're talking whatever kind of crazy DMT experiences people have. I don't take, by the way, but I've had some dream experiences, which seem to parallel that, where I'll get attacked by very, very hostile, and also androids. Very, I don't know, is high level an appropriate term for it? Sophisticated. Their design is sophisticated. Their intelligence is very sophisticated. And they seem to come after me quite a lot. Whatever it is, these machine intelligences, they absolutely hate me. That's one thing I know for certain.
Have you tried ayahuasca or any things like that?
I've not done ayahuasca, LSD twice, mushrooms. I had some old DMT, tried to smoke it, got no effects off of it, so I haven't had a genuine experience with that. The out of body experiences I've had have all been natural; they've not been chemically induced.
Uh-huh.
And
Tried a little bit of that when I was real young, but I didn't get any therapeutic things from it.
yeah,
I got a high or a fun event or whatever. I wasn't using it correctly, you know. I didn't know. I had no clue what was going on. I was like just a kid in college looking to have fun, you know. I didn't
yeah.
realize who I was or anything. I didn't understand my spiritual life until I was like 56. You supposedly you get an opportunity to wake up spiritually when Saturn returns on your life.
I was wondering.
28 years.
I was wondering if that was the case, because when you'd mentioned that, I was like, does that Saturn return times 2?
For me, it is at 56. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get
roughly.
it at 28? Did you become?
No, it was
before
14.
That?
So maybe a half cycle of Saturn, and then it hit, or so. Yeah, like right around that range. What you know about aliens? So I guess this is an interesting topic. I have a bunch of experiences. I guess I'll talk about. We'll see where it goes.
Okay, sure.
By far, the most common are grays, like Zadans or whatever people would call them. They too, they stand around and they watch me in my dreams and sometimes in real life. Maybe about 6 or 7 years ago is when I first noticed them, and I'm sure they were present a lot longer. I've had some private channeling sessions where the channeled beings have said that I don't have any memories or experience of it, but I've been told that I've been abducted before. I do. They're around all the time though. So sometimes I wonder if, like, at any particular moment, if they're literally just standing there watching me and I can't see or notice them. They do pop up in the dreams a bunch. There was one particular experience. Probably the good one is I remember, like I'd mentioned before, when outsiders are present, I'd been lucid dreaming for a good 14 years at this point, so it's not exactly an amateur. When an outsider is present, I just know. And there was one point, there's an outsider present, so I went and looked for it. And in the dream, I was in my grandparents' house, which is unusual because oftentimes when I'm seeing them in dreams, it's almost always related to that house. And I walk around, look through the rooms, and then over by the front door, I turn and look at the entryway, and bam, there it is, standing right there. There's a 4.5-foot tall Zaden. The interesting thing about it too was that its aura, or it had an aura visibly emanating from its most of its body, but most apparently from the head, and it was going through only the upper half of the rainbow. So you see the greens through the violets in shimmering waves that would come off of it. Well, it's standing there watching me, and I'm standing there watching it. And in the dream, my brother was present. In what capacity, I don't know. He doesn't remember anything about it. But I was when I'm in dreams, I treat people like it's real because I do believe that they actually are real and not figments of the mind. So I reach out and I point. I go, there he is, and that startled the gray because he had no idea I could or I suppose could see it, and it began to move across the room in a series of short teleports that were about 5 or 6 feet at a time. And I was observing this pattern, and I watched for it. There was the last teleport before it left the room, but I didn't know yet. I was going to time and tackle it. So I attempted to tackle, but I got nothing but a face full of couch because it had, instead of teleporting to where I thought it was going to be, it had teleported out of the room. And as it did, it transmitted a message, a psychic message, which the translation was full. If you can see my punishment suit, I will just get another. And it was gone. I had asked about that too in with
You
other
can see
channel
my
beings.
punishment, and you'll get another punishment.
No, the term it used for its body was punishment suit, is how the psychic message translated, the telepathic message. And I had asked about that, and the interesting thing was that information I got from another the same channel being, guy named Brad Johnson channels a being called the Dronus. I asked him about it. He said the terminology is chosen by them because it actually relates to them taking on like that kind of physical form. To them is a sort of punishment. So it's like a good loose translation of the word.
You're being punished.
No, that's just what they call. That's what they call their so-called bodies is a punishment suit.
Okay.
And it was interesting. They were popping up a bunch after that. I did decide to not be so aggressive, and there were times where I did talk with some of them, and they seem all right. It's been a bit. Some of them did seek me out. Sometimes every once in a while they'll come passing through, and I'll see a bunch of them. They'll usually disguise themselves as human forms, but if you look at them long enough and you kind of engage enough perception, that kind of fake visage that they wear will fade off, and you can see them as they truly are. But yeah, they're there watching. They don't seem to be particularly hostile, so I wonder. A lot of them are reported to be bad.
Are they doing anything to your body or putting
No,
drugs or openings in your body or anything like that, or examining you or anything?
no,
They're just watching you from a little
literally
ways away.
just watching. And then ever since I've started to see them, sometimes I see them more. Sometimes they'll be out and about, and I'll see them before they see me, wondering if they weren't watching me, and I just happen to notice them.
So when you're not dreaming and you're just walking around in life, you see them too?
No, the times I do, it's either when I wake up, and then you can see one standing in the room, and then it will just fade away, kind of in that hypnagogic state. Um, I haven't seen any at full daytime. Also, too, sometimes I'll get this after image. You know, you get like a flash bulb in your face, and then it like creates like an outline of where the thing was. Every once in a while, I'll get an outline, and I'll see one of their faces is the image that's burned into my thing, and then it'll last about 10 or 15 seconds and then go away.
Huh. I've never had any of this whatsoever in any way. I've never seen any aliens or ghosts or anything at all.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot about it. I've learned a lot, asking and things being told to me in my mind and stuff about them. But I don't know if maybe I'm just not as perceptive as I need to be.
It could be, right? Maybe. Or maybe they just, they might not just be watching you. I might just be targeted and singled out by them for whatever reason. Even Sean, he doesn't mention. Occasionally, he'll mention stuff, but he's not had the same waves of just hostile attacks over the years that I have had. He gets a handful every now and again, but they've not been like onslaughts like I've got. That's
How
one
are you
difference.
attacked? Do they physically cause pain or suffering of some type?
Yeah, sometimes I'll physically I'll be So I don't get sleep paralysis per se. If I'm having a full-on attack, it's like, I guess you can call it maybe a little bit like Exorcist. Stuff in the room isn't flying around, but I physically can't move. Not because I'm paralyzed, but because if I try to raise my arm up, a force will pull it back down, and I'll be physically held down in the bed, and that'll last like not terribly long. I've been woken up to being choked. Ghostly figures in my room. Usually, like I said, clouds of red mist is a popular one. I'll have things holding my neck and then also squeezing my heart, kind of stuff. Is how when I guess not, I wouldn't say harm. Yeah, I guess you can call it, well, just violence. Whenever violence is being dispensed on me, that's the mechanism.
You think they can kill somebody?
Do I think they can?
Yeah.
Possibly.
People get killed this way?
Yeah, some people might actually get killed this way.
Wow.
I always wonder too, with like the more severe ones. To me, the only thing I could ever think of is that the description is like those were possession attempts. I don't know if that's the case though. That's just speculation based on. I'm gonna turn the light on because it's getting dark.
So they have some way to teleport to you, and they have.
Don't mind the light. I keep red light at night.
Yes, looks interesting. It's good.
Better for your eyesight.
Pictures coming in over good. It's just a different color. It's nice. Is this red light therapy you use or something?
Not so much therapy as it is. It's just over here. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 8:30, so it's getting dark. I got some home automation that shifts the colors of my light bulbs to dark, like not dark, but like red, shifts all of them at night, just because it's better for your eyes and less disturbing for your sleep.
Is this something you can buy, huh?
Yeah, Sean was actually the one that got this whole system set up in our house. We had Hue bulbs originally, and then we moved to a third-party vendor. It's a little easier for us to use because we're both software people, so we can handle a little bit of custom stuff.
So you're putting different kind of light bulbs in the sockets, huh?
Yep. And then they hook up to our network, and they're all programmed to do various things.
Wow. Huh. Are they expensive?
The Hue bulbs they're like $30-$40 a bulb. These aftermarket third-party ones are like $6. So that's the main reason why we went to them. Much cheaper, because like with the Hue bulbs, we only had like, we're talking, it's like, okay, one, like the bathrooms, the kitchen, the living room, and like your bedrooms. Now they're everywhere just because of that, because they're much cheaper bulbs.
$6 a bulb now, huh? Do they burn out very fast or not?
Not at all. These ones are LEDs. They'll probably last, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more.
Very good. I should look into. Well, what company you buy these from?
These ones are KUF, KUF. The only downside to these particular ones is you'll have to get software support. You have to write the software for them. Philips sells some. They were the first ones to come out with the color changing ones, the Hue, the HUE ones. Although, like I mentioned, they're the expensive ones. If you stop by any store like either Lowe's or Home Depot, you'll see a whole selection of the different kinds of ones that they have on their different stands and their lighting. You can take a look and see what would work well for you in terms of like budget or whatnot. You can start simple and get like a lamp, and then have like a lamp be that way. So that way you can have something at night.
So, but you need software to work with them, huh?
So there are apps for the large ones like Philips. This brand that I have now has to be manually done. The benefit is we know it's not stealing our information, but then the downside is we wrote the software for it.
So the software goes in a computer program, huh?
Yes.
And how does it goes into the light?
Yeah, the lights connect to our Wi-Fi network.
I see. Okay. It's a Wi-Fi thing. And wow, that's interesting technology. I know I should look into this.
Cool. Oh yeah. So I think what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Before this, I don't particularly know what the mechanisms for, like, let's say the hostile beings is when they physically come to me. Is it teleportation? Maybe. I told my parents about, like, because I've been having experiences like that virtually all my life. The first type of, like, very negative thing that ever approached me, I think I was like 5 or 7 or something, and mom and dad actually had a friend who was a psychic, gave me my first set of crystals, and that seemed to help. But the real waves began once I had my spiritual awakening, because I think I pissed things off when that happened. I think that they didn't exactly want that, and they were happy to have me asleep. And once I stopped doing that, it was like, oh well, we got to do something about that. And that I've told my parents about it, and I guess, like, when you're younger, when you're a teenager, you aren't always taken seriously, especially if, let's say, I don't know, we lived a normal life in a normal house. The house wasn't haunted, so that's what they would tell me. But I don't understand. The house is not haunted, and I would say, yes, you don't understand. They're not coming for the house. They're coming for me, and that's been the case consistently. The place could be haunted. The place could not be haunted. They'd still come to me. Like, even too, I used to be in the military. There'd be times I'd be out sleeping in literally outside in the field in a sleeping bag, and still having these experiences surrounded by other people. Just
And
nobody
you
noticed.
didn't get anything, didn't see or
No,
hear anything.
no,
Oh,
they didn't.
huh?
Yeah, because it would be happening just to me. Like, one of the choking episodes was that. Although at this point it wasn't my first rodeo, so I don't know. I didn't make a big deal about it, and kind of just dusted myself on and carried on with life. Because in that particular time frame, I was on very busy training exercise, and I only got like 3.5 hours of sleep a night. Had to get up and then go to work.
That's how
And
much
so,
I've been sleeping lately, 3 or 4 hours only. I'm
is
puzzled
it
why I only want that much. And I
okay?
fall asleep during the day a lot because of it. And I work on the computer, and then when I start falling asleep, I just walk outside, for 300 yards or something like that, and come back in. I've been doing that a lot. I'm getting more exercise that way. I'm supposed to get some kind of fancy mission to get the people with reptilian souls out of power.
Sean mentioned about that.
And
He said you
I
started
keep
talking about
trying
that.
to make this breakthrough to get to the next step. And they keep saying it's going to be today. It's going to be today. It's going to be today, but it doesn't happen. It's every day. It's going to happen today, but then it don't happen. And I was getting these karma discharge episodes regularly. Real strange things would happen. Let me see if I can think of something. Like I had this printer was working fine, and then a piece of paper got jammed inside the printer. Normally, you could grab it and jerk it out, and then the printer would be okay. But this time it was so far in there that I couldn't see it. I couldn't get it. And I got mad and started taking the printer apart. And then the printer broke and I couldn't put it back together. So I threw the thing in the trash and went and bought another printer, the same kind, because I still had ink left. And then that printer wouldn't install.
Yeah.
And I just took all the parts and put it back in the box and took that back, give me my money back. And they did, and I bought another kind of printer. Now it's working okay. Let me see if I can think of what else. I had a weird episode constantly where some crazy things would happen. Oh, I called the. Oh, I woke up. Here's one. I woke up to start the day, turning my computer on, and my computer's wiped. All the information is gone. There's just 2 or 3 icons on the left side. Fortunately, I paid for support with. I got Dell all-in-one computer,
Okay.
I paid for hardware and software support. So I called the people in India and they took control of my computer. And all the information was still in there somewhere. And it took them like 3.5 hours to fix it.
Oh boy.
That's tremendous. And so now it's back to working fine. But I also have a second computer that has all of the same information on it. So even if they somehow did get wiped, I could retrieve the information from the other computer, I guess, somehow. And I'm regularly getting some kind of bad karma discharge from that. See, I was a professional gambler and a drug addict kind of at the same time most of my adult life. I loved cocaine or whatever. I would make a bunch of money from gambling. I was an excellent gambler. I could win in the second biggest poker game in Las Vegas in the 80s and 90s. Before poker was common on TV like it is now.
Yeah.
I just played in cash games, where you could buy in whenever you want it and quit whenever you want it. Not a tournament where you play to one guy has all the money like you see on TV. They have some cash games on TV, but generally there's tournaments. And I just wanted cocaine and prostitutes, and sometimes they would cooperate and sometimes they wouldn't. I mean, you could go for days with the sex and the prostitutes and cocaine. It was just on and on and on. That's all I wanted to do at times, and then it would run out, and I would be in hell and misery, and eventually I would get out of it and get going and gambling again and make all kinds of money again, and then somebody would give me a free hit of cocaine, and I'd go through everything.
Yeah.
It was. I had like 20 years of that, and eventually they had me get hit by a car as a pedestrian, and then it whacked my brain and broke my arm and whacked my right side of my brain. So I lost like half the vision in my right eye. I'm left eye dominant though. And my right eye can see, but it's blurry and cloudy or whatever. If I lost my left eye, I couldn't drive because I can't see that much with the right eye. But it still helps me some because when I got new glasses, I said, well, this right eye don't do nothing, so why pay for the lens for the right eye when it's broken? So I did that, and then all of a sudden I couldn't read good or anything. It was real hard, and I had to go back and get the right eye done. And I did that, and then I could read and drive normal again. So it does do something, it's just like half. And I could no longer think quickly. So all of a sudden, I couldn't win in high-stake poker games because I couldn't outthink the players and figure the strategy out real fast, what to do, You make a lot of creative moves I played limit poker. Now they have no limit on TV, tournaments and no limit. I used to play limit where in Hold'em, there's 4 betting rounds, and like the first 2 rounds would be $10 bets, and the last 2 rounds would be $20 bets, or it could be $200 bets and $400 bets, depending on the size of the game. You could play anywhere from $2 and $4 games to $2 and $400. depending on how much money you had, and they had it all. The highest game was usually 3 and 600 or something like that, and I couldn't do that good in that game, but the game below that I could win in if I had enough money to get in it. And when I didn't, other people would put up the money for me to play and get a part of the win or whatever. But when you don't play and do drugs and all that, pretty soon no one wants to. Anyway, it kept going on like that. And after I got hit by a car, I could no longer win. So I could only win in a real small game, like $3 and $6 or something like that, or $5 and $10 betting or something. And then the poker changed to, everybody changed to no limit.
Yeah.
What happened was, when I was young in the 80s, when I was really good, they could never get a no limit game going, because if some bad player got a lot of money in the game, a bunch of good players would come along and get in the game and buy as many chips as he had. And then eventually they would get in a big hand with the guy, and the sucker would put all his money in and lose all his chips to the good player. And he would go broke every time, and he would never win in the game, even though he got way ahead at some point by hitting some lucky hands. And so the suckers wouldn't play the no limit. So whenever they had no limit, it was just all top players, and then they didn't want to play against each other, and the game would break, and it would never regularly go. And some guy, it happened to be at the casino I was playing and working at the time, he invented that he made a limit to what you could buy in a no limit game. Like you could, like no matter what, you could only buy it for $100. And when the sucker won a few hands and got $700 in front of him, you know, the good players couldn't come along and buy $700 and take them off. They could only buy $100. And you know, maybe they could beat the guy a hand or two, and the suckers started winning in that kind of game more often. You know, maybe 20-30% of the time the sucker would walk away beating the game, and then the game would regularly go, and then all of a sudden they made all no limit games that day. They made a limit on the buy-ins. And the suckers started winning a fair amount of time, and no limit took off all over. And then everybody changed to that. And that was during the time I kind of was getting out of poker or whatever, when that changed over. So I'm not real good at the, I'm good at the limit and not that good at the no limit. It's a different strategy.
How did you get on the path that you're on now?
Okay. When I was a kid, like 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old or something like that, I learned somewhere, read somewhere, that you could take up self-hypnosis and improve yourself. I learned how to hypnotize yourself and improve things. And I wanted to learn about that for some reason. And I had this aunt that their whole house was like a library. Every wall had a bookshelf on it. There was this whole house was full of books everywhere in the whole house. And I asked her for a book on hypnosis for Christmas. And I got it, and in there was the pendulum, to try the pendulum, and I tried it, and it worked great. It moved right away. I would hold it and ask questions, and the thing would go. You know, you say yes, and immediately start moving. Well, nowadays, there's a lot of people try the pendulum, and it won't move. It don't go anywhere. For some reason you have to have guides or people in the higher densities that make the pendulum move somehow, or make your mind is able to make it move or whatever, taking out their answers. Everybody can't do it. So anyway, it worked great for me. And I thought it was the cool thing that everybody could do and didn't think anything of it. And I learned to hypnotize some people, and I tried it, and I joined the Army too. I was in 76 through 79. There was no wars then. I was they arranged for me to go through the Army when there was no wars. And I went to Hawaii. I wanted to go to Hawaii, and I tried body surfing and scuba diving and stuff, and I had a good time there. And I hypnotized some people a little bit, but I never got anything out of that. And about every 5 years, I would try the pendulum for a little while and mess around with it for a few minutes, and then put it down and forget about it. And never got anywhere with it. I tried to find missing things, but it wouldn't work. Like you're getting ready to go somewhere and you can't find your keys.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the house, but where did I put them? And I think, well, I'll use the pendulum and find out where the keys are. But I'm not allowed to get that. I can't find missing things with the pendulum. For some reason, I'm not allowed to use that skill. I don't know why. Why do they bar me from that skill? But they do. You're only allowed to do certain things with it, and everybody's skills are different. So anyway, one day I asked, "Am I communicating with another higher entity?" And I got yes. And all this time I thought it was just my subconscious mind making it move, and it didn't mean anything. And I got all excited over it. And I was learning a few things spiritually. I found David Wilcox on the internet. And I went to he had he would have a conference in a different city every week or whatever. And when he came to I was living in Los Angeles then, as I am now. So I went to his conference, and I studied real hard for everything on his website to go to his conference. And when I got there, 90% of this stuff he taught was on his website. I was depressed about that. I learned everything, and it was the same stuff. But it was pretty good. I met a couple people and learned a few things. And I showed him I could do the pendulum, and he gave like a big effing deal. So what? It's a big deal, it's nothing. And I got determined that I was going to go somewhere with it. So I kept working, and that's when I asked if I was communicating with another entity. And then I found out that I could find out if somebody else's soul was polarized positive or not. And I thought that's all you needed was to be polarized positive, and you could make ascension. And I was allowed to find out if anybody was polarized positive. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. I got to open up a website, help humanity. I mean, that's all I knew at that point. And I only had about $200-300 at the point. And I go, if I can open up a website for $200, I'm going to do it. And this was 2010. And I could, so I did. And I couldn't. I had already had the head injury with the pedestrian accident in 2005. So I could no longer type fast or anything. I had a friend help me with the typing, but he wasn't spiritual, and he was trying to be sarcastic against me and things at times. And I had a little little problem with that, but I got the website off the ground, a few pages that way, and slowly built on it. And right away, I invented the Soul Score, probably sometime in 2010. And I subscribe to this Ben Fulford's report that comes out every Monday. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
BenjaminFulford.net. He has a world report that comes out every week. He explains what's going on in the world and how we're trying to get the evil people running the world out of power, which I'm heavily into. So I subscribe to that. And he was one of the few people that you could put whatever you want in the comments and he wouldn't delete your comment or whatever. Almost everybody else, if you mention your own website in the comment, they delete you.
Yeah.
Just about every company that you make comments at. YouTube doesn't. I mean, you can put your you can make a YouTube comment and put your website in all over, or almost on any channel. But if you join some other company or something and mention your website, they delete you or block you or something. But Ben Fulford didn't. So I started advertising my website and checking people's Soul Score. And at first it came out, they come back. This guy helps everybody, and you gave him a low score. And this guy over here is a real asshole and causes problems with everybody, and you gave him a high score. Oh, what's up with that? And then I would check it again and ask about it, and they says, yeah, then they gave me the right score. And that went on for a little while, and then finally it changed where I got good scores. I got the accurate score more often. And then by 2012, I invented the Soul Report, and I would just write it from scratch on each person. I would get a few things and write it down, what they were, whether they were. I didn't get star seeds until about 4 years ago, but star seeds qualify for ascension, so I just had it that way. Whether you're a star seed or qualify for ascension, it was the same. That's like you got this 20. I found out a few things that nobody knew, that you go through a 25,000 year cycle, go through all the signs of the zodiac. That takes 25,920 years. And your soul starts in third density and you incarnate in people. And when you go through that whole cycle, after that, then you're qualified for ascension. But you got to make ascension. And when the Earth ends, the cycle ends on Pisces and starts again on
Aquarius, right?
Aquarius, yeah. Age of Aquarius or whatever, which is like right now, it's in the process of ending and starting. And when that happens, ascension window opens up. And this happens on every planet. But if you can finish your cycle in the middle, which most people would, that their soul might have started a couple thousand years after the cycle ended for their planet. And then they would finish their cycle after the ascension window closed, and it wouldn't open again for like 20-some thousand years. And so they couldn't use this ascension window to make ascension. So they'd have to make ascension on a cycle. And then eventually I found out that when you reach 1.82 cycles, you're moved to the 5th density where you would make ascension to automatically. And if you get there that way, you don't do so good. You don't get a good body and a good job and all that, because you backed into the 5th density instead of ascending there. So what would happen is, when you get close to that 1.82 cycles, they would send your soul to another planet as a star seed, and they would send you to a planet where the window's going to open, which is the case on Earth. The window's going to open pretty soon. So all kinds of souls are coming from all different planets as star seeds. So they couldn't make ascension out of cycle. And some of them purposely weren't allowed to make ascension out of cycle because they needed to come to Earth and have these fantastic experiences of helping humanity, like fight off these reptilians that are controlling us. What's going on is, I guess it started about 8,000 years ago. Reptilians wanted to take over the planet and control everybody and steal the resources and have the power of controlling everybody. But if they came here with beings and weapons on the ground and all that, other positive races would come and start a war with them to get them out of here if they did that. So they couldn't do that because they couldn't win the war with all these positive races. Especially races would come from the 4th density into 3rd density and have super powerful weapons and blast them, and they would lose. So what they do is they come here and they make clones out of the people that are living here, and they put their soul on, and they put their souls in the clones. Soul traits are, DNA is passed equally by the mother and the father, but the soul traits are only passed by the mother. So when a female has children, whatever group her soul is in, her children will get a soul from that group, regardless of what the father has. And in that way, when the woman has a reptilian soul, the children will have reptilian souls. And so they'll make more people the same as the reptilians taking over. And there'll be just a few people that'll have a reptilian soul, and everybody else will have a human soul. The star seeds and wanderers that come here, their soul gets modified before they incarnate, so they'll be the same as humans. So they'll kind of have like a human soul. And if they have, if a star seed or wanderer has children, the children will get a human soul instead of the same soul that the star seed or wanderer has. They'll get a human soul because their soul's modified. But the reptilians aren't. So when they have, when the female with a reptilian soul has children, the children get the reptilian soul. And they take these few people with reptilian souls and put them in all the important positions of power. And then they run and control the planet. So all the people in government and corporations and have all the money and everything are all reptilians. And they're making all the rules and the laws, and they got, we got them outnumbered like 1,700 to 1, but they got like 80% of the money, and they own 25% of everything. But we got them outnumbered like 1,700 to 1. So what's up with that? So they're running and controlling the planet. And I'm on a mission to get them out of power, to get them out of here. And I'm supposed to get this higher higher body where I'll have abilities to get them out. And I'm in the process every day trying to get this upgrade or whatever. And as soon as I do, then I'm going to work on getting them out of power. But so far, nothing's happening. And I'm worried that it might be BS and I'm never going to get it or whatever. I'm not sure. But I'm not giving up hope. I'm keep trying and work with the spirits and try to figure it out and get there somehow. I'm trying to identify and expose them to everybody. You know, these people that are controlling everything, they got reptilian souls, and they're disguised as us. And they got all the money and control and everything, and most people say I'm crazy and it's all bullshit and you don't know what you're talking about and you're wrong and all this, you know. And I'm having a hard time. You know, there's a lot of other powerful people like myself that can speak on the internet, and they got a blog and a website and all that. And I'm trying to tell them what I know and what I found out. And if they could believe me and examine what's going on to see if I'm right and start telling everybody could learn what's going on and maybe rise up and get them out of power. But that ain't working out.
Yeah, it seems to be whatever its course is going to take. The scenic route, apparently.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem is I had this pedestrian car accident, so I'm not so sharp on speaking and writing and making my website strong and talking to other people. I can't think fast enough and do things correctly to educate everybody because I had this head injury, so I'm handicapped. So I'm having a hard time in my mission, but I'm still determined to get there. I'm supposed to be a real powerful wanderer. Like I try it where there's a skill level.
I actually have seen those, so I'm familiar with skill levels. It was
1 to 4. Yeah. The highest skill you could be is a 4, and the lowest skill you could be as a 1, and it goes in halves. You know, there's a 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4. And it's not just so much of how intelligent you are. It's your ability to help humanity and the people around you. Like a Wanderer 4 has a powerful website and can write books and hold seminars and do all kinds of teaching and everything, where a Wanderer 2 can only help the people around them. And I can get the skill. There's like 85 million Wanderers here, but I don't, I can get the skill level on them all, and some of them get soul reports. And the ones that most they don't give me 1 or 1.5. They either give me they're a Wanderer 2 now, and then they only can help the people around them. Or if they're a 2.5 or higher, then they got the ability to do some help humanity as a whole. I mean, it's my wife. I'll get rid of the call real fast.
No problem.
I'm on a Skype call, honey. What's up?
Okay.
7300 East Carson. It should be somewhere around Woodruff Street or something like that. Just look at the sign. Yeah, look for 7300 address.
Okay.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye. She wanted to go to this Lowe's store and buy some plants for around the house and stuff. We just bought a manufactured house. I don't have a lot of money, but I ended up marrying good, and I trained her to be. I'm retired because I'm 68, but she's only 54 or 50. She's listed as 51, but she's really 54. They changed her age. She's Cambodian, and the Pol Pot redemption or Khmer Rouge or whatever, they took over the country. When they finally ended that, her father cheated on her age and made her 3 years younger so she could qualify for school and education. And now that hurts her with the retirement, you know. If you could get Social Security when she gets old enough, instead of her getting it at 65, she'd have to get it at 68. When she's 68, she'll be listed as 65. I tried to get it change that back, but her father died and it's in a foreign country and she don't seem to care about it, you know. But, you know, later on when it's time to get the money, she's gonna care.
Yeah, right.
But whatever. I think it's gonna work out. I think maybe things are gonna I think the world's gonna be different at that point, especially if we get these people with reptilian souls out of power. I was initially told there was two kinds of them, and I developed this scale on how positive and negative or how evil they are. And what I have learned through my dowsing is there's like 18 lines of DNA that account for all the living things. And like some of the kinds are like trees and mammals and reptilians and insects. There's 18 different of those that accounts for everything. And half of them get a soul that has empathy, and half of them get a soul without empathy. Every living thing must have a soul to be alive. If you take the soul away, the living thing dies right away. But you could revive it, and the soul could come back. Sometimes a plant, you might be able to bring it back several hours later. While an animal, you only got a few minutes or whatever to bring it back. And sometimes you can take an animal and you can kill the animal and then revive it and switch souls. They can do that too with the right technology. So they could take a person and kill the person and get the soul to leave, and then they could revive that person and put a reptilian soul in or something like that. They might be able to make people with reptilian souls that way. But I think what they do is they make clones. They grow a person in a laboratory, and the person's just a still body that doesn't do anything or doesn't move or anything. And when they put a soul in the body, then the body's animated, and all of a sudden it can move and do things and learn stuff and all that. And they can make clones good enough to where they can have children. They might only live like 6 to 12 years or something like that. But they can make adults that can have children. So they put the reptilians put a reptilian soul in the clone, and then when the clone has a female clone, they arrange for it. They bribe some men with good DNA to mate with the clone, which looks like another woman. You know, the man doesn't know it's a clone; just thinks it's another good-looking woman, and he wants to have sex with her, and then she'll have children that have reptilian souls, and they'll be normal people that'll live the regular age and all that. They won't die. You know, they'll start out as kids and grow up and live a normal life. And if they're female, they'll all have a reptilian soul. And if they're males, they might arrange for them to be in governments or positions of power. And if they're female, they'll get them to marry and have more children. So there'll be more people with reptilian souls. And they'll arrange for all these people with reptilian souls to have lots of money and be in positions of power to control humanity, which is what they've done. And there's 4 kinds of them. I thought for the longest time there was 2 kinds, draconians and lizards, but there's 2 other kinds. I don't have a name for them yet, but they're in Asia and the Middle East or whatever. And some countries have draconians and lizards. Our country does. Like most of the people in the people that have the most power at controlling the world are draconians, and the second highest ones are lizards. Trump and Putin have lizard souls, and most of the other people controlling our country have draconian souls. And all these other reptilian groups have male and female, and they mate and have children when they in reptilian bodies. But the draconians don't. They're androgynous, and there's just one sex or whatever. And so when they're incarnate in a human body, they don't understand the genders, and they're quite often gay. And it's set up to where if the male with a draconian soul has sex with a child before puberty, they get this tremendous energy rush that feels like super pleasurable. So they all want to have sex with children. And that's what causes all this child trafficking all over the world. It is for these draconians to get this energy rush. People don't understand what's going on there. Why is there all this child trafficking? I don't know anybody that wants to be a pedophile. Nobody in my family or friends are pedophiles. Well, why are all these people in power pedophiles? You know, but they are because they want to get this, they got a draconian soul and they want to get this energy rush. That's what's going on there. And I try to explain this stuff to other people, and, you know, you're full of crap. You're making crap up. You don't know what you're talking about, you know. But I've learned all this stuff dowsing, getting information from my guides and stuff. And I'm trying to, you know, educate other people to change the world. And hopefully you learned a few things here and you'll want to help.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the right soul. I gotta hit these. I get these text messages and I gotta open them, or it keeps making that noise again and again. And then it screws up the, you know, it tells you got a text message, and if you don't open it, then it tells you again and again and again, you know. So I gotta stop it. I don't know, maybe I should set my phone different. So anyway, the 9 lines of DNA have empathy, and 9 of them don't. And 3 of them on each 9 can become people. The ones that have empathy that can become people are mammals, birds, and vegetables, believe it or not. There's vegetable people in the universe that have empathy for others, and they're the highest class. And they normally live on planets that have an ammonia atmosphere. So the reptilians don't come and take over them because they can't handle the ammonia atmosphere. so they don't get taken over. But I think there's 5 or 6 different atmospheres that beings live in. It's listed on my God, Matter, and Life page. If you read that whole page, you'll see it. The most common atmosphere is oxygen, and the second most common is water vapor. And then insects live in that. And then they got a methane atmosphere, a hydrogen, and ammonia. I think those are the kinds there are. And then there's 6 different elements that life can be based on too. We're carbon life, but there's silicon life, magnesium life, chromium life, arsenic life, and boron life. And I think Venus is a boron planet, where all the life there is based on boron. Like if you read all this secret space program stuff and that kind of thing, you'll hear a lot of information on Mars, because Mars has an oxygen atmosphere and carbon life, so they're similar to us, and we could go there and walk around and whatever. But Venus has boron life, and if you go there, even though they got an oxygen atmosphere, you would die in a short time because your body couldn't handle the chemicals based on boron there. You'd have to be in a spacesuit the whole time there. And there's people there that have high technology, but they got some type of technology that prevents other races from landing their ships there. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but if you're an evil race and you try to land your ship on Venus, you can't. They block it somehow. I think they can allow you if you want. If you send some kind of probe there or something like that, their senses will detect that there's no living things on the probe and it's nothing harmful, and they'll let the probe land, I guess. Well, there's a comment from your brother on the
Jay's group.
Jay's thing. Yeah, the comment. Yeah. I had a couple other comments while we're talking. But I've learned a lot from you on these dreams and being attacked, and hopefully you learned some things on me. I think we're having You got any questions or comments on what I've told you that I can explain better or anything?
So a good mix of it I saw on your website, and some of which I heard when I was talking to Sean about it. A couple things were new. The atmospheres, that's an interesting one. The different branches of life. I'm going to look more into that just because, it's interesting seeing what's out there. It's like not being so, I don't know, uptight or ignorant about different types of stuff out there.
Yeah,
Good
it's
things.
obvious there's more variety in the universe than just us,
Yeah, learning. I mean, I always knew that there were people of different character. Learning the soul origin lines that you traced out, scales, if you would, fell from my eyes because it's like, I finally understand. It makes sense now why we see these patterns, these predictable patterns in different ways. It's like, oh, it's just like you said, that's just the soul that they have. They be it reptilian or lizard or whatnot. And like you said, people are like, I don't know anyone like that. I don't know anyone that likes kids. Well, 1,700 to 1, dude.
They're not. Yeah. Now
they hide it. So
there are some pedophiles in humanity, but it's basically kept in the family. Like the uncle is having sex with his nephew or something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But he's not hiring child traffickers to get more kids,
right,
or that kind of thing, like the draconians are.
Like Epstein.
Yeah, or Biden too, and McCain. All of them I mean, if you read all the people in the government in England and the United States and Australia and New Zealand and all these Western countries, I did make a page, who's in power.
I saw that. That was
For
interesting.
every country. And most of the countries on there are listed as lizard running a country. But all the high populated countries are draconian. The top 9 are draconian, and then the 10th is Russia in population, and they got a lizard soul. But some of those lower ones down that are all lizards, they actually, there's 2 other kinds of reptilians, and they're on those. And haven't learned what they're called or what the difference is yet. And some other guys made some lists for me to do, mostly about California and the United States. There's a House of Representatives list I didn't finish. I'm trying to catch up with emails.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a.
But I've joined. I'm in this Jay's group, and I'm get so many emails on that. And I found out that all these people joining this group have very high statistical souls. And so I'm doing a mini soul reading for everybody that joins the group. If introduce yourself, and the other things. I don't have much money, so I can't afford these peptides and all that. I was starting to lose weight, and I'm doing a lot of walking, and I'm resisting on getting these peptides and all that because my body's supposed to change, and the spirits are telling me, don't get them, don't do it, you don't take them. I tried them a little bit already, and I'm not afraid of the needles, but I had a hard time with it. It seems like you need 3 hands to do it. Are you doing many peptides?
So not so much peptides. I do TRT. I'll do vitamin shots as well.
Yeah.
I've done some peptides, not consistently, not daily. I use some of the weight loss ones. What you
I'm
got
doing
there?
this one. You rub it on.
Oh yeah, okay. The cream.
I'll show you how I do it. I guess I could do it now. I was rubbing it on here, and the doctor said rub underneath. So you put it in your hand like that,
Under the arms.
under the arm, and it's this doctor.
Okay.
We do it that way. I don't know if I'm getting that. It seems like I'm feeling a little better from it. I'm not getting a real strong effect from the testosterone, but I'm not sure. and I'm taking the metformin. I think that's helping.
I take that as well because that's one of Jay's. Oh, Jay loves metformin.
Right. He thinks that it helps everybody.
The research on it's really good.
My doctor agreed. I'm considered disabled from that head injury deal, and I'm getting this testosterone and metformin relatively cheap because of that, and I got some peptides that way, but I guess I wasn't hormonally balanced properly, and I wasn't getting too good of an effect to lose weight with them, but. I would try them again. I would get some more and try it again, but I'm told not to. That I'm going to get this change, and I'm going to be able to get these people with reptilian souls out of power. I'm eagerly waiting, taking the next step on that. But for some reason, I think it's really helpful that I'm having this consultation with you. You're teaching me some stuff that happened to you that are good for my career and my information. And I'm explaining some things to you about these people with reptilian souls. And hopefully you can tell a few people about that and spread that information. And eventually, if more and more people know that the people ruling us aren't human, I mean, it seems like people are going to be outraged when they found out that we're being ruled by another group. You know how certain groups like the Federal Reserve can create money.
Yeah, they're private.
And every country has a central bank creating their own money. Well, every one of these central banks are reptilian. They're not human. None of them are human. So the reptilians create all the money they want for themselves and their friends. And that way they got 80% of the money and own 25% of everything, approximately. Even though that we got them outnumbered, I thought it was 5,000 to 1. They kept changing the number of how many of them there was. It kept going up and up and up. And finally, they capped it and tell me there's 4.3 million of them. Which, if there's 7.5 billion of us, that means we got them outnumbered. I think it's 1,725 to 1 or something like that. You could do the arithmetic on that again if you want. But it comes out to something like that. I actually got a calculator here.
That's a big number no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, we got them way outnumbered, but they got 80% of the money. I mean, that doesn't add up. And they own 25% of everything. I mean, that's just so out of line. It's ridiculous. Now this calculator don't want to work.
You've been following the UFO news lately?
A little bit. I was subscribing to Mike Dolan, and I was going on his thing and listening to some of it. And he's got a forum, and I was writing things and reading his forum. But he's got several people with reptilian souls controlling his forum, so I quit and got disgusted on that. What's going on with tell me something about UFO news.
So they've been pushing a bunch of fake whistleblowers, like this latest intel officer Garush that came out like, what was it, 6 weeks ago. Tomorrow starts the first official public hearings that Congress are going to hold with some of these people. So it's probably going to be another avenue for pumping misinformation and kind of sanitized disclosure among people that have been following that for a while. The best source of info I've found on it is a guy named Daniel, who's moniker and YouTube channel is called Dark Journalist. He puts out a lot of really great material on why
I've did some of his stuff. Daniel.
Okay,
Least, something like that is his name.
You said what?
Daniel Least or something like that is his name, or Leist or something.
I don't know what his last name is.
I think it'd be L, but I'm not sure. But that doesn't matter. Dark Journalist is all you need to know.
Yep, that's what he goes by, and so we're probably going to see some bunch of stupid stuff start pouring out probably real soon, and things will probably get, in my opinion, things will probably get stupid quick because these people are going to pump this narrative, and they're probably going to line up a couple of agendas all at once. UFO, Great Reset, totalitarian takeovers. We're probably going to get hit with this a storm of just stupid stuff. Although I don't think
1,744 to 1, we got them outnumbered.
That's a good number.
Yeah, that's a lot. And they got 80% of them, approximately 80% of the money, and own 25% of everything. You know, it's real estate and land, money and land mostly, and corporations, companies, and all that stuff. But go ahead, what the Dark Journals? Tell me more about that.
So based on what his work is and some other stuff, I think we'll see a big push of whatever narrative is, and most likely narrative is going to be one that they've crafted that whatever's fed to all these whistleblowers is going to be suitable to them. Mainly that UFOs do exist and they're real, but but humanity is a genetically engineered species. We came from Mars, and because we came from Mars, some people have certain genetics, and those people are fit to rule, is most likely how it's going to play out, or at least attempt to. I don't think it will work because people aren't drinking the Kool-Aid.
Which is my information is they got a reptilian soul, and his
Yeah,
and
right.
his information is they come from Mars, huh?
Right. Well, you know, that's what they're probably going. No, that's what they're going to tell us.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that's true. Now, I believe like if you look into like a lot of, let's say, ancient history and like esoteric teachings, there's talk of multiple lines of humanity to include some souls who did come from Mars, but that's not all of humanity. Most of humanity did not.
Right,
Like you're saying.
and they blended in with all these other people anyway.
Yep.
But I think
Where we
there's
are
6
now.
different races on humanity, and I get there's category 1 and category 2 souls.
Yeah, I
And
remember
I'll
very
tell.
much
Let me
reading about
explain
that.
that.
I'm good on that one. I went over that on your site extensively.
Oh,
I
you
wouldn't
looked at
be surprised if there was like you said like 6 groups. Isn't there 6 major ethnicities?
races, I
Is that,
think.
does that that's
Ethnic
what I mean by
is
it.
probably
That's what I mean
100, but races there's 6. There's the whites seem to be the most powerful race. They seem to have the highest soul scores and the best statistics, and they're category 1. And then next is the Asians, and then the other group that has a category 1 soul is Australian Aborigines.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not
But
surprised.
they kind of went bad in the last 200 years, and the strong, powerful souls aren't incarnating in that group. So they kind of went downhill. And now the other 3 groups are blacks, Middle Easterners, and Pacific Islanders. And what happens is when the oversouls of those groups went through first and second density, and first density incarnate as mineral or parts of the land and the planet, like part of a mountain or a river or a lake or something like that. And then you go through 3 cycles of that. It's around 77,000 years. And then you go through 3 cycles of incarnating in plants and animals. And while you go through first and second density, the oversoul is rated on how good he does. You know, and the first thing, you got to keep the matter made. If the matter can get unmade or something like that, and there's 2 higher souls that are helping you in case you slack off, and you're rated as how well you do. And then in second density, incarnate in plants and animals, and you get graded on how well you do there. You know, if you keep the organism healthy and reproduce, and maybe fight off predators and that kind of thing, and you're rated on there too. And then every oversoul comes out of the creation star, and it's basically 22 to 32 souls in an oversoul, and it splits 16 ways in first density, and it splits 4 ways in second density, and then 1 way in third density that we're in, and fourth density is similar. Fourth density is like a deluxe third density, but the souls that don't have empathy can't go in fourth density. So 25% of the groups that have empathy for others live in fourth density. I mean, 75% live in fourth density and 25% live in third density. And after you go through 3 cycles, you move from third density to fourth density. And humanity's getting ready to make that jump from third to fourth density. And I'm calling that planetary ascension. But it's really like a solar system ascension. Each in third density, there's 2 dimensions, third and fourth. And we're in fourth dimension, and our solar system's been in fourth dimension for several million years. It's not nothing new or nothing that happened lately. And then in fourth density, there's 6 dimensions, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I get star seeds from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th dimensions. 9th and 10th dimensions, I don't get any star seeds from them. They don't seem to need to be a star seed, you know, when they get that 1.82 cycles or whatever, or you need to go to another planet to take advantage of the window opening up. They don't need that help for some reason. They I guess when they complete their cycle, they can make ascension right away or something. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, after you're rated, going through first and second density, the top half get to be category 1, and the bottom half of the rating are category 2. And then both halves, when they go from second density to third density, they get a package from source to be third density. And the category 1 souls get another 8% boost or package to be more intelligent and more spiritual. The category 1 souls get that 8% boost. And that's why like a lot of people notice that when they do this, where the schools where they mix the blacks and the whites, they force a bunch of blacks to go to white schools and that kind of thing. And then when blacks get there, they're way behind on their reading and arithmetic and all that stuff, and they don't seem to be as smart, and they have trouble in school. And that's because they got category 2 souls. Supposedly most planets, the whole planet's either category 1 or a category 2. They don't have these different races like they have in humanity. But I'm not sure about that. They might have them on every planet too, but I'm under the impression that the whole planet's either category 1 or category 2. But anyway, if you notice that, like, black men want to marry a white woman, and when they do that, the children, the soul traits are always passed by the woman. So all the children will have category, they'll be half black and half white because the DNA is shared equally, but the soul only comes from the woman. So then the children will have category 1 souls. But let's say that female children that are half and half and have a category 1 soul, let's say they stay in the black community and get black husbands or whatever. Now the kids will be 3/4 black and 1/4 white, and they'll still have category 1 souls. And the next generation will be 7/8 and so forth. And eventually there'll be a bunch of people in the black community that look black like everyone else because they're 7/8 or 15/16 black or whatever. But they got category 1 souls, and they do way better in school and owning businesses and all that stuff. And they're ahead of the other blacks because they got the white soul, or it could be the Asian soul, or it could be the Australian Aborigine soul, depending on what woman came into the black community to, you know, about 18% of the blacks have category 1 souls. And I think about 20% of the Middle Easterners got category 1 souls. But when we make planetary ascension, this category 1 and 2 goes away, and then everybody's the same. So all of a sudden, all these other races will be similar in being smart and spiritual. Won't matter what race you are in the fourth density so much. It might matter a little bit, but it won't be pronounced like it is now, because the category 1 and 2 deal goes away, and everybody gets the same when you go to fourth density, everybody gets the same package from source to be fourth density. And they'll all have equal opportunity of being intelligent and spiritual. And maybe there's some other characteristics in there too that I'm missing. So it's interesting how all this stuff works out. Huh? I found out a lot of information on how everything works, and I'm trying to spread this information to all kinds of other people, but nobody seems interested. Hardly anybody, could care about it. Most people, I can't see my soul or see anybody else's soul, and I'm a person. Other people are people. I don't know anything about their soul. But in reality, we're souls and not people. And the soul lives forever, and the person and the body is temporary. So the real you is the soul. And I seen this one video. This guy, he's suing his parents for having him, making him. He didn't want to be made, and he's suing his parents for making him. I seen a guy who's making a video like that. I mean, what a moron that guy is. He doesn't realize that he's a soul and he's been around a long time, and his parents didn't make him because he's a soul. And his parents got together and decided to have a child, probably. And when he was on the soul plane, he chose to incarnate in that body. And now he's trying to sue his parents for making him. What a moron that guy is! I should have grabbed the. I just seen some highlights of the video. I didn't play it or whatever. I should have put a comment in there about what's going on, and put my left link for my website. I do a lot. I put my link in a lot of comments all over on YouTube and things when I watch stuff. I'm Guac 77, GUAC 77 in a lot of places. If you see some comment for somebody that says Guac 77, that's me. Or it could be Gary Peter Carlson. I got that handle also. Oh, so what else you got? What else can we cover or talk about here?
I think that covers the vast majority. At first, I didn't know what to talk about.
About what's this now?
Oh no, I said I don't know if you can hear me that well. I could put the earbuds in. I said I don't think I have any further questions. That was definitely a lot of stuff. Covered everything I wanted to.
45 minutes. It's kind of a long video, but we covered so many stuff. Both of us had a lot of interesting stuff to add that I think could be beneficial to other people.
Yeah, that's what I'd be happy. I'd be happy if the content I put out there is useful to other people as well.
Just be a good video for other people to play. You want to call it here? You want to quit?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, you're certainly welcome to call me again anytime, and we'll have another one. All right, I'm going to shut the recording off.